The holographic targeting display flickered across Maya Chen's vision as she ducked beneath another training drone's stun blast. The Space Academy's combat simulation chamber hummed with energy, its adaptive gravity fields allowing her to execute a perfect zero-G flip while maintaining her aim. 3 more drones down, new Academy record. Cadet Chen, your performance continues to exceed expectations, announced the AI training supervisor, its tone somehow managing to sound both impressed and disapproving, though your methods remain unorthodox. Maya landed in a crouch, her dark hair settling around her shoulders as the gravity normalized. Unorthodox gets results. Sarge, she grinned at the AI's designation, synthetic adaptive response and guidance entity. Besides, pretty sure the Academy handbook doesn't specifically forbid using one drone as a springboard to kick another drone. That would be correct, Cadet. The handbook writers likely never imagined anyone would attempt such a maneuver. Their lost Maya began her cool-down stretches, her muscles pleasantly sore from the workout. At 22, she was older than most first-year cadets, having spent her youth collecting martial arts championships across Earth before deciding that wasn't enough of a challenge. The Space Academy had seemed like the next logical step after all. If you're going to fight, why not learn to do it in zero gravity? The chamber's doors slid open with a pneumatic hiss, revealing Administrator Chen. No relation, though Maya sometimes wished she could claim the stern-faced woman as family just to see people's reactions. Cadet Chen, your presence is required in the Grand Hall. All cadets are being summoned. Maya raised an eyebrow. Must be something big if they're interrupting training simulations. Usually you folks act like missing practice is a capital offense. The Galactic Confederation delegation has arrived. Early Administrator Chen's expression tightened. War Admiral Kraz Thul is leading them. The name sent a ripple through the chamber. Even Sarge's holographic interface flickered. Maya had heard the stories everyone had. The 8-foot-tall reptilian warlord who'd fought his way to the top of the Confederation's military hierarchy by challenging and defeating champions from 100 different species. The living legend who'd never lost a combat challenge. Well, Maya said, grabbing her towel, this should be interesting. The Grand Hall was packed by the time Maya arrived, still in her training gear because apparently diplomatic emergency didn't allow time for a shower. The massive viewing windows that usually showed Earth's stunning orbital view were darkened, currently displaying footage of Kraz Thul's greatest victories. Maya watched as the massive reptilian warrior systematically dismantled opponents twice his size. Impressive, right? Whispered Li Wei, Maya's roommate, as she slipped into place beside her. They say he once fought a Jovian war beast barehanded. They say a lot of things, Maya replied, studying the warlord's fighting style, including that he's got an ego bigger than his species' homeworld. As if on cue, the hall's main doors swept open. War Admiral Kraz Thul ducked to enter, his scaled head nearly brushing the 12-foot ceiling. His ceremonial armor gleamed under the lights, each plate etched with the story of a victory. His yellow eyes swept the room, taking in the assembled cadets with what could only be described as amused disdain. So his voice rumbled through the hall, managing to sound both sophisticated and menacing. This is Earth's finest military academy. How quaint. Maya felt the collective tension in the room rise. The warlord was baiting them, and everyone knew it. I've reviewed your training programs, Kraz Thul continued, pacing with predatory grace. Primitive, limited. Your species still clings to ancient forms of combat, as if they hold any relevance in the modern galaxy. He stopped, focusing on a group of first years who shrank back. Hand-to-hand combat? In an age of neural disruptors and quantum weapons, perhaps we should have waited another century before making contact. Maya couldn't help herself. She snorted, loudly. The sound carried in the dead, silent hall. Kraz Thul's head snapped toward her, eyes narrowing. You find something amusing, young human? Oh, several things, Maya replied, ignoring Li Wei's frantic attempt to shush her. But mostly I'm wondering why someone so advanced and evolved spent 3 minutes monologuing about how primitive we are. Seems like a waste of everyone's time. The warlord's scales shifted color slightly, the reptilian equivalent of raised eyebrows. You have spirit, little one. And a complete lack of self-preservation instinct, it seems. Better than a complete lack of manners, Maya shot back. We do have chairs your size, you know. No need to stand there posturing like it's your first day at Galactic Warrior finishing school. A low, dangerous chuckle rumbled through the hall. Kraz Thul's mouth split in what might have been a smile, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. Perhaps he said slowly, Earth's warriors are not quite as primitive as I assumed. They at least teach you to face death with humor. Maya shrugged. Nah, that part's all natural talent. But if you'd like a demonstration of what they do teach us, she let the challenge hang in the air. The hall went absolutely still. Even the administrators seemed frozen. Kraz Thul's eyes gleamed with predatory interest, and Maya knew she'd just started something that would either make history or get her killed. The Galactic Confederation's flagship, Invictus Prime, emerged from hyperspace like a metal leviathan breaching the surface of a cosmic ocean. Nearly 3 miles long, its obsidian hull bristled with enough firepower to level continents. As it slid into Earth's orbit, the massive vessel cast a shadow over the Terran Space Academy that sent the temperature gauges dropping by several degrees. Compensating for solar interference, announced the station's VI, adjusting thermal regulators. Maya pressed her face against the observation deck's reinforced window, watching smaller escort ships peel away from the flagship like pilot fish from a shark. Anyone else think they're overcompensating for something? Li Wei elbowed her. That's the most advanced warship in 12 sectors, Maya. Show some respect. I'll show respect when they show up in something that doesn't look like a rejected prop from Space Vikings Monthly. The station's warning klaxons blared as a shuttle departed the Invictus Prime. It was smaller than the escort ships, but no less impressive, a sleek, predatory craft that moved with impossible grace for its size. The Academy's docking bay's massive doors parted to receive it, their edges gleaming with active defense systems that could vaporize any hostile vessel in microseconds. Not that anyone would dare attack during a diplomatic visit. Probably. The shuttle's landing was perfect, naturally. Its hull hissed as it equalized with the station's atmosphere, and the boarding ramp extended with theatrical slowness. Fog rolled out from the vessel's interior, actually rolled, like someone had installed dry ice machines just for the effect. Oh, come on, Maya muttered. Now, they're just showing off. The holoscreens throughout the docking bay flickered to life, displaying a greatest hits compilation of War Admiral V.C. Thor's victories. The 9-foot-tall warrior was a sight to behold, part organic reptilian, part cutting-edge cybernetics. The footage showed him defeating a Martian war mech with his bare hands, wrestling a Titanian ice beast into submission, and facing down an entire squad of Proximan elite guards without breaking a sweat. Nice light show, Maya commented as V.C. Thor himself emerged from the shuttle. Does he do birthday parties too? The War Admiral's cybernetic eye swiveled toward her, its red glow intensifying. He stood even taller in person, his scaled skin seamlessly meshing with chrome augmentations that amplified his already impressive physique. Each step he took made the deck plates vibrate slightly. I find human humor, he said, his voice a perfect blend of organic growl and synthetic resonance, to be a fascinating defense mechanism. You joke to hide your fear. Maya stretched lazily, popping her neck. Bold of you to assume we're afraid. Maybe we just think your entrance could use better direction. The fog was a bit much, don't you think? V.C. Thor's organic eye narrowed while his cybernetic one word through several scanning patterns. You are the one from the training simulations. Maya Chen, your combat scores are impressive for a human. And your condescension is impressive for someone who installed mood lighting in their shuttle. Really sets the tone. A low hum emanated from V.C. Thor's cybernetic components, possibly a laugh, possibly a weapon charging up. You should be honored. I don't usually bother learning the names of species I'm about to demonstrate my superiority over. Wow, Maya replied. Do you practice these lines in the mirror? Because they're giving very much rehearsed in the shower energy. The assembled crowd gasped. V.C. Thor's organic parts twitched while his mechanical components whirred faster. For a moment, the tension in the docking bay could have powered the entire station. Then the War Admiral did something truly shocking. he smiled. Perhaps, he rumbled, this diplomatic mission will be more entertaining than anticipated. Maya grinned back, all teeth. Oh, I guarantee it. Master Rodriguez's weathered face creased with concern as he watched Maya practice the same kick for the 100th time in the Academy's private training room. The old-style mirrors lining the walls reflected her movement from every angle, each one showing the same determined expression. Your form is perfect, he said, his voice carrying the weight of 40 years of combat experience. But perfect form won't be enough against Krasthul. Maya landed, sweat dripping from her brow. That's why we're not sticking to perfect form, she grinned, the same grin that had unnerved opponents back in her championship days. We're going to show him something he's never seen before. The holographic projector hummed to life, displaying footage from Maya's last Earth Championship fight. A younger Maya danced around her opponent, using techniques that seemed to defy physics even in normal gravity. Remember this match? Rodriguez asked. The one where everyone said I'd lose because she was twice my size. Maya watched her younger self execute a seemingly impossible reversal. Yeah, that was fun. You won because you didn't fight like everyone expected you to fight. Rodriguez manipulated the controls, bringing up side-by-side footage of Krasthul's previous battles. Look at his opponents. Every single one tried to match his strength. Maya studied the footage intently. And they all lost because that's exactly what he prepared for. But what happened? She demonstrated a complex movement that combined Earth martial arts with zero-G maneuvers when you change the rules of engagement. Rodriguez's eyes lit up. Now you're thinking like a human should. The intelligence briefing that followed was technically classified, but apparently challenging a Galactic Warlord earned you special clearance. Maya sat through hours of tactical analysis, biological breakdowns, and combat statistics. Lieutenant Commander Park's voice droned on about reaction times and pressure points. While Krasthul's species possesses natural armor, Park explained, pointing to anatomical diagrams, their joints remain vulnerable. However, approaching these weak points has proved fatal for previous challengers. Maya took notes, but her mind was already forming a different strategy. Has anyone ever tried just talking to him during a fight? Talking? Park looked confused. Yeah, you know, conversation? The thing people do when they're not trying to kill each other. That would be highly irregular. Maya's smile widened. Perfect. Later that night, alone in her quarters, Maya recorded a message for her family back on Earth. The station's lights had dimmed to simulate night, casting her room in soft blues and purples. Hey everyone, she began, then paused. How do you tell your family you're about to fight an alien warlord who's never lost a battle? So, funny story. She told them everything, keeping her tone light, making jokes about Krasthul's dramatic entrance and the ridiculous ceremony surrounding the challenge. But as she neared the end of the message, her voice softened. Mom, remember when you used to say that the biggest fights aren't won with fists? Dad, remember teaching me that sometimes the smartest move is the one nobody expects? She took a deep breath. I get it now, really get it. Maya stood and walked to her window, Earth hanging like a blue jewel in the darkness below. Tomorrow I'm not just fighting for myself, or even for humanity's pride. I'm fighting to prove something that we humans have known all along, that the strongest warrior isn't always the one who hits hardest. She touched the window, her reflection overlaying the planet behind it. Also, if I win, you owe me that hover bike you promised when I was 12. Love you all. See you soon. The message ended, and Maya turned to her bed where her training gear lay ready for tomorrow. Next to it sat a small wooden box, a gift from Rodriguez. Inside was a fortune cookie, of all things. She cracked it open and laughed at the message. The best way to surprise your enemy is to surprise yourself first. Well, she said to the empty room, tomorrow's definitely going to be surprising for somebody. She slept soundly that night, dreaming of zero-G dance moves and the look on Krasthul's face when he realized what he'd gotten himself into. The Academy's Grand Hall had been transformed overnight. Gone were the neat rows of seats and formal podiums, replaced by a circular combat arena that seemed to float in the center of the massive space. Transparent barriers separated spectators from the fighting zone, where gravity could be manipulated with surgical precision. Representatives from 30 different species packed the viewing galleries. The air hummed with translator devices, struggling to keep up with dozens of excited conversations. Above the arena, massive holoscreens showed close-up views from every angle, ensuring no one would miss a single moment of what promised to be either a historic victory or a spectacular defeat for humanity. Kraz Thul's entrance was exactly as overdramatic as everyone expected. The massive doors parted to reveal him in full ceremonial combat armor, each piece decorated with trophies from previous victories. His entourage included 4 different species of warrior priests, all chanting in their native tongues. The effect was both impressive and slightly ridiculous, like a professional wrestler who'd raided an alien museum. "Your last chance to withdraw," his voice boomed through the hall. "Do so now, and you may tell your descendants you faced me and wisely chose to live." The opposite doors slid open. Maya walked in alone, wearing standard academy training gear. She was doing warm-up stretches as she walked, looking for all the world like she was preparing for a casual sparring session rather than a potentially lethal combat. "Sorry, bit busy stretching," she called out. "Can we reschedule the dramatic speech for later? Maybe over coffee." Kraz Thul's scales darkened a sign of either rage or amusement. With his species, it was hard to tell the difference. "Your species' humor will not save you." No, Maya agreed cheerfully, but it makes the wait more entertaining. She finished her stretches and took her position. "Also, quick question, do those trophies actually serve a purpose, or are they just really uncomfortable jewelry?" The fight began before she finished her sentence. Kraz Thul moved with shocking speed for his size, covering the distance between them in a single bound. His first strike could have shattered concrete, aimed directly at Maya's head. She wasn't there. Moving like water, Maya slipped past his guard, her movement so fluid it seemed almost accidental. "Nice opening," she commented. "Very dramatic. Bit telegraphed, though." The Warlord's second attack came even faster, a combination of strikes that had overwhelmed countless opponents. Maya dodged each one, her movements becoming increasingly unpredictable. Where Kraz Thul's style was all power and precision, she moved like a leaf in the wind. "Stand still and fight," he growled, his attacks growing more intense. Why Maya ducked under another swing. "You're doing enough fighting for both of us," she punctuated her statement with a light tap to his armor. Not an attack, more like she was testing something. The crowd watched in growing confusion. This wasn't how fights with Kraz Thul usually went. His opponents typically tried to match his strength or speed, leading to quick, brutal defeats. But Maya seemed to be treating the whole thing like an elaborate dance, complete with running commentary. "You know," she said, sliding past another earth-shattering blow, "I've been wondering something. All that armor, all those trophies must get pretty heavy, right?" Kraz Thul's response was a roar and a massive overhead strike. Maya redirected it with a touch, using his own momentum to send him slightly off balance. Just slightly, but enough. "Because I noticed in the footage," she continued, as if they were having a casual conversation, "you never fight for more than a few minutes. It's always quick, decisive victories. Almost like you can't afford a long fight." The Warlord's eyes narrowed. His next attack was more controlled, but Maya could see the tiny delay in his movements, the almost imperceptible strain. That's when she signaled the gravity controls. The arena's artificial gravity shifted, dropping to 1/3 Earth normal. Kraz Thul's mighty leap, intended to drive her into the ground, sent him soaring too high. All that armor, all those trophies, became a liability. "Fun fact about humans," Maya called out as she used the low gravity to dance around him. "We train for everything. High G, low G, no G. We practice until it's second nature," she demonstrated by executing a perfect zero-G kick that connected with his shoulder joint. "While you rely on strength and intimidation, we adapt." Kraz Thul tried to compensate, but his fighting style was built around using his superior mass and strength. In reduced gravity, encumbered by his ceremonial armor, he was fighting against himself as much as Maya. The gravity shifted again, this time increasing to twice Earth normal. The Warlord's armor crashed down, driving him to one knee. Maya, in her light training gear, adjusted instantly. Another fun fact, she said, moving in close. Human martial arts aren't about being the strongest. Her next series of strikes targeted precise points on his armor, each hit resonating at exactly the right frequency. They're about using your opponent's strength against them. The ceremonial armor began to crack, its weight and rigidity becoming a cage rather than protection. Kraz Thul roared and tried to grab her, but Maya was already moving, combining earth martial arts with zero-G training in ways that defied his experience. The final sequence was almost beautiful. Maya used his own attack as a launch point, redirecting his momentum while the gravity shifted one last time. Her finishing strike wasn't particularly powerful, but it didn't need to be. It hit precisely where all her previous touches had weakened his armor, at exactly the right angle. The great Warlord's ceremonial armor shattered, its pieces floating in the shifting gravity field like exotic butterflies. Kraz Thul stood exposed in his basic undersuit, Maya's hand held steady at a pressure point on his throat. The silence in the hall was absolute. "So," Maya said conversationally, "about that coffee," for exactly 3 seconds after Maya's victory. The grand hall remained absolutely silent. Then it exploded into chaos as 30 different species tried to process what they'd just witnessed. The translator devices overloaded trying to handle the volume of excited chatter, creating a feedback loop that sounded like a techno concert gone wrong. "Well," Maya said, still holding her finishing stance, "this is getting loud." Kraz Thul slowly raised his hand, his remaining armor fragments clinking to the floor. The hall went quiet again. He looked at Maya, then at his shattered ceremonial armor, then back at Maya. His scales shifted through several colors before settling on a deep blue, a sign of profound respect in his species. "In 300 years of combat," he rumbled, "no one has ever defeated me by talking me to distraction." Maya finally lowered her hand. "To be fair, no one's ever tried. You should hear me during movie nights. I've been banned from 3 different theaters." The mighty Warlord did something that shocked the audience even more than his defeat. He laughed. A deep, genuine laugh that shook the arena's barriers. "The Galactic Confederation," he announced, his voice carrying to every corner of the hall, "has severely underestimated humanity's potential. You don't just adapt to challenges, you transform them into opportunities. That is unsettling and impressive." 3 days later, the Academy's combat training curriculum was completely revamped. Maya found herself promoted to Special Combat Instructor, a position created specifically for her. Her first class was packed with representatives from 15 different species, all eager to learn what the humans called tactical banter and adaptive combat techniques. First lesson, Maya announced to her diverse group of students, including a 7-armed centurion and what appeared to be a sentient crystal formation. Fighting isn't just about physical combat. It's about understanding your opponent, adapting to circumstances, and knowing when to crack a joke versus crack a skull. At the back of the class, Kraz Thul sat taking notes. He'd removed most of his cybernetic enhancements and ceremonial pieces, wearing simple training gear. "Question, Instructor Chen," he raised his hand. "When you said my armor looked like, quote, a disco ball had a baby with a medieval knight, was that tactical banter or just personal amusement?" Maya grinned. "Yes." The Academy established a new tradition after that day. Every graduation ceremony now includes what they call the Chen Challenge, a combat demonstration where strategy and adaptability count for more than strength. The trophy is a broken piece of Kraz Thul's ceremonial armor, mounted on a plaque with the inscription, "Victory lies not in power, but in the power to surprise." Kraz Thul still claims Maya added that last part just to make him roll his eyes. She neither confirms nor denies this accusation,